Welcome back to the latest episode of the Laura and Becky Show. So you know the story, guys. We were on the radio together. We got the sack. So what did? We flew off on a girly weekend to Mallorca, had lots of fun, lots to drink, and decided to start a podcast.
We are now sponsored by East Midlands Airport, Red Brick Estate Agents, and Prince Family Law Solicitors. And we're very excited today because it's Wednesday and we've got a guest. And it's a returning guest.
It is a returning guest by popular demand. We've actually had lots of you get in touch asking for this person to come back on the pod. So you know what, guys? You wanted it. We're going to give it to you.
What I love is with Red Brick, we have Thea and Ross on quite a lot. They're just getting married.
Yeah.
With Prince Family Law, we get Lisa on about divorce. We cover all bases on this pod.
Yeah, I love it. But we've had a lot of people get in touch. So last time you were on, Lisa, I think this was like last season, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were trying to figure out the last time. You said it was a hot day.
It was August, I think.
Oh, it was a while ago. So definitely last season.
Yeah.
But since then, and actually since we had Coco Travels on and Charlotte, who were talking about their experiences with divorce, there's been an influx.
Yeah.
We've had loads of... actually, no, there is one guy on here.
This is a busy period.
Oh, Lisa, it's busy. It's busy, all right. So we've got a lot of questions from a lot of our listeners. There is one man on here, actually.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, we're not going to name him, but there is a man, which we're very excited about.
Well, we've decided, we just had a quick conversation. We're not obviously going to name anyone because we don't want to do that. And we thought maybe we'll make up names, but actually we're not going to do that. We're just not going to name people. But if you do have a question, keep them coming.
Oh, yeah, we love it and Lisa loves it.
I do. It's my job.
So first of all, welcome back from your lovely holiday.
Thank you.
You look very well.
Thank you.
Saw elephants and lions.
Elephants, giraffes, zebras, lions.
I feel like that's a holiday that's on everyone's bucket list, is to go on a safari.
Yeah.
It should be, honestly, it really should. I was not sure whether it would be my thing, but it was amazing.
Great.
Early
Amazing.
starts though, wasn't it? You were saying?
5 a.m, but you're so excited about what you're going to see. You just don't
Yeah, it's not
mind.
like you're getting up for work, is it? It's
True. You get up to see the big five.
You are. That's
Also,
right.
I mean, is it more important than the animals? Probably. There was a good pale rosé.
Amazing pale rosé. I have to say, the wine in South Africa,
Oh,
amazing.
now you're talking.
Red, white, and the rosé, all
Right.
delicious.
Well, you tagged us in a picture
I know.
of the pale rosé. We
That
were
was
very
a
jealous.
particularly good pale rosé that night.
Great. We
Yeah.
love it. Sounds
Yeah.
like a dream.
Animals, pale rosé.
Yeah.
Which one's better?
Elephant, pale rosé.
Okay, shall we just get into it, the
let's
questions
do
then? Okay, right, let's have a look what we've got. All right, Lisa.
Yes.
I keep going to see the name. We're not doing names, right? Okay. How much does a divorce cost on average?
Okay. So I think it's probably important to know that there are two elements. So there's the divorce and there is then the financial side of the divorce. If we are just talking about the divorce, you're talking about just your paperwork, your initial paperwork. It's all done online now, and it's a fairly straightforward process. I think most firms like ours offer a fixed fee for a divorce. We charge 500 plus VAT for the divorce. The court then charge a fee, I think is £593 at the moment. So that is for the divorce. But I think it's important to know that just because you are divorced, that doesn't mean that you then can't make financial claims against the other. So some people get divorced, deal with it, and then years later, out of the blue, they get an application from their ex saying that they're making a claim against them for some money.
I actually didn't know this.
Yeah.
I thought once
Loads
the
of people
divorce
don't
was
know that.
done, that was it.
No, absolutely not. The only thing that finalises your claims against each other for finances is your final order, a financial remedy order that can be done.
Is that a consent order?
If you agree it's by consent. If it's forced on you by the court, it is just an order. If it's just dealing with who gets the house, who gets the car, things like that, no maintenance, it is called a clean break order. If it provides for maintenance, it's not a clean break order. But that is that is the document that ends your financial claims. It also ends your claims against someone's estate on death. But until you've got that, your claims remain open. So by way of example, and I often give this example to my clients, you get divorced, you think, well, nothing to sort out at the moment, no finances. One of you wins the lottery a couple of years later. There's nothing to stop your ex then making a claim against those monies. They may not succeed, but if needs prevail, so if they've got nothing and it would then help them buy a house, a court may award them some of that. So that's a really important point, really, that your divorce doesn't end your financial claims.
But if you've got the financial paperwork, that then does. If you won the lottery, then they couldn't come and
They couldn't
just check in.
They couldn't come back then. No,
Right.
That's it.
Got
that
it.
ends your claims. So there's no coming back after that.
So do you say to everybody, once they've got the divorce, do your consent,
Your
that
clean
form?
break order,
Yes.
effectively.
Yeah.
I do, because they may say, well, we've not really got hardly any assets, but there is that example.
Yeah.
Some people may think that's fine. What's
Yeah.
the chance of winning the lottery? I'll take that chance.
Yeah.
Other people may think, well, actually,
Yeah.
I'll tick all the bases and we'll have your clean break order.
God, that's really good to know, because I mean, I've been divorced.
Well, you did
and
the
I've-
lottery the other week, didn't you? From
I
Psychic
did.
Dave.
I didn't win, so it's all fine. But I didn't realise that, even though I've been through a divorce, I didn't know that. And I reckon a lot of people won't know that.
Yeah. So going back to the cost of it, so your divorce cost is pretty much fixed.
About $1,000-ish.
About $1,000 plus
Yeah.
that. Your finances, it's a bit like how long is a piece of string, because I could see a client, she could say, look, it's pretty much all sorted, just need you to write to him, agree an order, prepare it all. So your costs will not be that much then. If you end up going to court, you can be talking 30,000-40,000 plus if it goes all the way. So it depends on how complicated, how much agreement there is, and, you know, as I say,
How long it goes on for, I guess,
long
as
it
well.
goes
I
on.
guess as well, every divorce is different.
every single one is
Every
different.
single one must be. Because
Yeah.
you've got different people, different personalities,
absolutely.
different finances, different situations.
I say that is what makes the job interesting.
Yeah.
Everyone is different. Yeah.
Okay, great. Question number 2. Do I have to take on my husband's debt?
Okay. And this is quite a common question. I actually had a client on the phone today asking this. My husband's running up debt. Will I be responsible for it? When it comes to debts, there are matrimonial debts, or there are debts that are your own. The only way you would be responsible for your husband's debt is if it was debt that had been run up while you were together for the benefit of you both. For example, you pay for a holiday on it, a family holiday. That would be then classed as a joint debt. If you separate and your husband then runs up credit cards, no, you wouldn't be responsible for that. So it would only be joint debt run up for the benefit of you both that would be classed as matrimonial debt.
Yeah.
Other quick question.
Yes.
What if, and I don't know if this is a stupid question, what if you've been with your partner, you're not married, but you've
Yes.
been with them for like, let's say 25 years,
Yes.
and you split up?
Yep.
What happens to finances then?
Yeah. This was on my list. When I said to you, I've got some extra questions that are
brilliant.
commonly asked. This was one of the
Right,
questions
that
on
wasn't
there.
a stupid question
Yeah.
then.
So the first one I'd put down there, which is a myth that many people ask about, is there such thing as a common law wife or husband? No such thing. So being with somebody for a certain length of time does not acquire you any rights as if you were married. What happens to your finances if you just live together and you're not married? Basically, it's straight property law. So if you own a house between you in joint names, it would be 50-50 unless there's anything in place to say it's anything other than 50-50. It gets more complicated where you live. So let's say you live with somebody for 20 years in a house that's in their name. would you have any rights to that property? On the face of it, no, unless you'd made contributions to the mortgage or made contributions to either the purchase price when it was bought or renovation work, knocking down walls, building, new kitchens, things like that.
What about bills? It's not actually anything to do with the house, but if they paid all of the bills,
that would not get you any interest in the house.
Really,
yeah,
interesting.
If you've got children, there are claims you can make under what's called Schedule 1 of the Children Act. So you can make claims against property if you've got children, to be provided with a property for you and the children. Right. But ordinarily, if you're not married, unless the house is in joint names, you've not got any automatic right to someone else's property.
Do you know what? I'm realising there's so much that I actually don't know. Okay, next question. Do courts favour mothers?
No. I think a lot of people think courts favour mothers because more often than not, mothers are with who the children live with. The courts favour children, or they prioritise children. So in a financial case, the first priority is always the children, meeting their needs, housing needs, making sure they've got a roof over their head. There's more and more shared care arrangements now because both parents work now, whereas years ago, most mothers didn't work. So I would say no, the courts don't favour mothers. They perhaps... It would appear that they do because they are making sure that the children are provided for if the children live with mom. In Children Act cases, so your contact cases, who the children live with, who they spend time with, again, it's always what is in the best interest of the children. So there should be no favouring mum or dad. So I would say, if you'd have asked me this question 20 years ago, I would have probably said the courts do favour mothers. I don't think they do now. I think it's a lot more even.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's probably because the mums were usually the kids were with the mums, right? Whereas I think nowadays it's a little bit different, isn't it?
Definitely. When I started this job, I would say 9 out of 10 mums were stay-at-home mums.
Yeah.
And the children lived with mum. Now, most parents both work. A lot of the time, mum works part-time till the children get to a certain age where she can work full-time. But I see lots of clients where they both work full-time and they share care equally with the children. Yeah. I suppose it makes life easier in one way because their needs are the same.
Yeah.
So they both need the same kind of house. They both need the same kind of income.
Yeah.
I guess in the long run, like you say, they favour the children. That's what's best for the child, isn't it?
That's right.
So
yes,
that would make sense.
Yes.
Okay, great. This one we got a lot, and it's about moving out.
Yep.
So what if you want to move out and you can't afford to move out? Or you've got nowhere to go, I guess.
Yeah. Well, my advice to my clients is always do not move out. I say that because let's say you've got, wife who's extremely unhappy, doesn't want to be under the same roof as a husband. Doesn't really want the marriage to end, which perhaps brings us on to one of the later questions. If she moves out, she then automatically makes his life more comfortable because that atmosphere's gone. He will then sit tight in the house and do nothing. She is then either paying, if she can't afford to move out, she would have probably gone back to live with her parents or friends or something. So she's living in circumstances that aren't ideal, and he will then just sit tight and do nothing. She then has got to force it, effectively go through the courts to force him to do anything. I always advise do not move out unless sometimes it's totally untenable, and I'll say to my clients, when it comes to that point where you can't stand it any longer, but always stay if you can,
Yeah.
because there is far more chance of sorting this out more quickly. If you stay, I know it's awful, and you stay in an atmosphere that's unpleasant, but you will both find it unpleasant, and it will urge you both to sort it out. Whereas if you remove yourself from it, one person then is left in the house, comfortable, and will sit tight and do nothing.
Yeah.
And what about if I actually know the person who's answered this question? So I know a bit more about it, but what if the mum wants to move out
Yes.
because almost she's being forced to,
Yeah.
and what happens? So the person that wants the divorce,
Yeah.
they've stayed put, but they're
Yeah.
almost forcing that person out because they're making life unbearable. Do they have to pay towards the rent of where they've gone?
Well, it all depends. I mean, if it depends how bad their behaviour is that's made it unbearable, and it depends if the person who's moving out is the one who the children would be with. So if the one that was almost being forced out is the person who the children would live with, and the person who's staying in the house is behaving so badly that is forcing them out, then there are applications that can be made to court to get the other person removed from the house because of their behaviour. If not, if it is just their behaviour that is forcing them out, and it's, I don't mean this awful, it's not behaviour that a court would think was so bad that they should intervene and make orders. Should they then contribute to their rent? If their income is such that it is so much higher than their wife or husband that's moving out, then you can apply for orders for maintenance to help them then meet their housing costs.
You've kind of answered the next question in that. You did it all in one answer, which is great. So we'll move on to the next one. How do I know if a lawyer is a good lawyer?
Really difficult one, because most people, and the average man in the street, a lawyer is a lawyer. So you don't know what is a good lawyer and a bad lawyer. We do, because you deal with lawyers all the time. So you kind of heart sinks sometimes when you get certain lawyers on the other side. I always think personal recommendations are your best way to go. I don't think Google reviews, I don't think looking at awards, things like that. I think personal recommendations, word of mouth, are the best way to ascertain whether somebody is a good lawyer.
Yeah, and it's asking someone you trust, isn't it? Because if you trust that person and they're saying to you, listen, this person will look after you, they're really good, then it's,
Yes,
they're going to be good, aren't they?
If they've had a good experience, like you say, then they will. And certainly at our firm, I would say a vast majority of our work comes from personal recommendations, which is good.
That's a good sign, isn't it?
I remember you saying last time you were here that that first consultation where you just sit with them and you get to know them is that's a really good way of knowing, because it's not necessarily, you have to get on with your lawyer, don't you? You have to trust them.
Absolutely.
You have to,
yeah. I mean, it's like I said to you that first time, you are telling somebody you have never met before intimate details of your life, finances, about your children. I always would urge my clients to come in and meet me and make sure they know they feel comfortable and can get on with me. Because you really have got to get on with them. And don't get me wrong, you're not best friends with your clients, and your clients aren't best friends with you, because you've got to have a professional relationship, and there's quite often they'll get frustrated and take the frustrations out on us, which is nature of the job. But they've ultimately got to trust you and got to feel comfortable with you.
yeah.
Good advice.
What is the best advice you would give to a man who doesn't want the divorce?
Probably do nothing. That would be my advice. Okay. If his wife's wanting a divorce, certainly I wouldn't leave the house. So if he came to see me and said, my wife wants a divorce, she's asked me to leave, my advice to him would be, well, don't do anything. Don't leave the house. Stay where you are, for exactly the reasons I just gave you. If she wants a divorce, you're going to have to let her drive it and make her do the work. So ultimately, if she wants a divorce and she pushes it, then there's not a lot you can do to stop it. Maybe seek some couple counselling, do everything you can to see whether there's any chance of retrieving it. There's, good counsellors out there that they could try some couple counselling. So that's a suggestion. But I think, my advice to him would be to stay where he is, sit back and do nothing, let her drive it if that's what she wants. And if there's any way of trying to retrieve it by way of couple counselling, then suggest that.
It's a sad situation, that, isn't it?
Really
When
sad.
one really is adamant they want to split and the other one really
Awful.
doesn't want to.
And is that quite common? Is it more?
It is because, when you see, it's very rare that they both decide on the same day, we want to separate. There is usually one that is far further down the line with that decision than the other party. They've been thinking about it for a while. They've probably grieved themselves, come to kind of accept it in their own head. And that's when they've seen a lawyer. So their other half has to go through the whole process that they've been through. So you finally reach the same stage. And it is really sad when, it's, heartbreaking really when somebody says, I don't love you anymore. And they want to save the marriage. Difficult as well, because what can you really do if somebody's made their mind up? But some do, some clients do pull it round. They'll try counselling, they will pull it round. But yeah, I would say in the majority of cases, you've always got one that's a bit further ahead.
You're right as well, because I don't think many people make this decision lightly or overnight. Like you say, it's been something you've been probably thinking about for years, and it's built up. So like you say, one person's probably grieved and gone through that process.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been divorced, and it's not something you go through lightly, and you do grieve. You feel you've failed at something. You don't get married with the intention that you're going to get divorced. So you do grieve the loss of that marriage, really. And it is hard to kind of come to that decision. So I don't think, as you say, anybody comes to it lightly.
Yeah.
The trouble is, by the time they then tell their husband or wife that's the decision they come to, they then think they've come to it lightly because they've made their decision and they've kind of made their own peace with it in their own head. And they've got to then go through that whole
From
process.
the very start.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. How long can a divorce last for?
Well, I would say if you deal with it through you start off, I mean, you would always start off trying to negotiate. There are options when it comes to negotiating. Mediation is an option. And certainly mediation now is something the courts are championing, saying you've got to try mediation, and they've got to say sign it off, saying it's either failed or not suitable before you can even make a court application. So that's one option of negotiation. The other option is that you try and negotiate through solicitors, you exchange your disclosure, you exchange offers. If it becomes apparent, I always think fairly soon it becomes apparent whether you're going to sort it or not. You can tell whether they're so entrenched in the positions that you're just not going to get any closer. I would then get my application into court, because if not, it can drag on forever and ever. When you get in the court process, you're in a fairly tightly managed process and timescale. So I would say usually about 6 to 12 months if you're in the court process that you will sort it out up to final order. Years ago, they used to go on years and years, but I think the court kind of dealt with that and have got fairly tight procedural rules in place now to ensure that that doesn't happen. And I think as a lawyer, we are under a duty to make sure that doesn't happen, because I've taken files over for clients. They've left their other solicitors come to me because they feel they're not getting anywhere. I get a file that's 10 inches deep and got absolutely nowhere, just correspondence going round and round. Well, there is no, number one, that's costing your client a load of money, getting absolutely nowhere, and then you have to start the process then, and you're still probably 12 months away from getting it sorted. So I think you have to make a judgment call as to whether you're going to get anywhere or not, and make sure you then involve the court as a last resort if you have to.
Yeah, you want things to be moving, don't you? Nothing
Absolutely.
worse than
Nothing
if
more
you feel like nothing's
frustrating.
happening. Yeah.
Paying bills.
Yeah.
Your file getting deeper and deeper, and nothing happening.
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful. Right, okay, so we've now got a voice note. So let's
Okay.
play this.
Hi there, I've got a question for Lisa. So my name is Emily and I'm currently going through a divorce, which is taking quite a lot of time. And I'm just finding I'm really, really stressed out, which means that I'm drinking consistently every night. And I just wondered, could Lisa advise how much wine am I going to need to get through this blooming divorce?
Oh, bless Emily. We've all been Emily.
Question. Yeah, we've all been Emily. How much wine to get through this divorce? What would I say? Maybe a couple of bottles a week. Is that understated? Yeah.
Not a night, no. Not a couple of bottles a night.
Maybe not a night. Bottle a night, maybe. Yeah.
Wine does help the process, though.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
I think it's
Definitely.
essential,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Emily will come round and join you and help you drink your wine.
As long as it's pale rose.
Yeah, Lisa knows her wine.
I
We can
do,
all
yeah.
recommend a wine for you, Emily. Oh my God. Last time we basically we went into your offices and we met
Yes.
all your wonderful colleagues, and we asked them a question about what their song would be to walk into court. Now, before Becky, before you got here, I was chatting to Lisa, and Lisa has done a couple of white collar boxing challenges.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you chose, and you did actually liken it to walking in court, getting prepared.
It is. Well, you said, did you get nervous? And my answer to that was, yes, you are. You're nervous when you're waiting to walk into the ring,
Yeah.
which is like when you're waiting to go into court.
Yeah.
Once you actually get in the ring or in court, you get into your flow and your nerves go because you're into your flow of it. So, yeah, they are quite similar, actually, when I heard you ask that question.
Yeah.
So what's your song?
Well, the song I had for both was actually, I love the Killers. So I had the Killers, it's called The Man.
Right.
I don't know
if you've
that
heard
one.
it.
No.
It's got a really good intro, and then it's I'm the man, I'm the man.
Oh, I
No,
do
I'm a
know
woman.
it.
Yeah.
I'm the
And
woman, I'm the woman.
I just loved it, and it had this really big build up, and then great big like pumping music as you walk
Yes.
down. So that was the song I used for both of them.
Yeah.
Everyone now is going to be
I'm the man.
stalking Lisa on social media,
Yeah.
looking at her going, so she's there before she goes into court, be like, I'm the man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that is brilliant.
Yeah, but great song. I still love it now, and whenever I hear it, I think of those fights.
Yeah.
Who was it that said it was Shania Twain? Who was it? Was it
Was
a
it somebody
man?
in
I
the
feel like a
office?
woman. Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember who that was.
Feel like a woman.
Yeah, so you're a man. Your colleague feels like a woman. It's all going
It's all
on.
going on. But hey, whatever G's you up before you go in.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on
Okay,
again.
that's no problem.
We've been wanting to get you on for ages, obviously, since getting all these questions through and people asking things.
Yeah.
But obviously, you've been away. So thank you so much for coming
okay,
in
that's fine.
today.
Yeah.
And that's all of our questions, I think, isn't it?
All of our questions. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
We could talk over a bottle of wine all night.
Oh,
Yeah,
couldn't we?
yeah,
But
yeah.
keep them coming, guys. If you have any more
Absolutely.
after this
Happy to
episode.
answer any more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it. Lisa, thank you so much.
Okay, no problem.